Hey guys,
Hello again, it is
Cassidy and Daniela from Make Your Marriage Great Again. This is our third try. This seems to be a trend.
Yes.
Like we are doing lives and then we have to shut her down and start her all up again a third time.
All right. We're back and I see our guest Mike Friend.
Yeah.
We're going to try this author and speaker. Welcome again.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hear us, Mike? Woohoo!
That's
No
weird.
feedback
Okay.
this time. Woohoo! We don't give up.
Hey, you got to work it.
Try until we get it.
Okay.
Yes,
Yes.
this is almost
Right.
like a marriage.
Keep trying.
Right? Like,
Keep trying.
you can't
Keep
give
it
up.
going. That's right.
You got to keep going. You got to keep fighting
Exactly.
until you get it right. So
Our theme is all about
there we go.
breakthrough. We've got the breakthrough.
All right.
yes.
Thanks.
Welcome back, Mike. We're so excited.
Welcome, Mike.
So this is Mike
Yes.
from
Right.
Texas. Welcome.
Welcome.
So hopefully we can resume our conversation. We were talking a little bit about what Mike does, and Mike's a consultant. He's also
He's a
coach, a life coach,
business
strategist,
and a relationship coach as well.
Yes, he has.
And an author.
He has many, I guess, let's say hats. So, Mike, go ahead and tell our audience a little bit about what you do.
Sure.
I know we spoke about that earlier in our previous conversation, but if you don't mind just reiterating a little bit about your work.
Sure, no problem. So relationship coaching is I work with couples that own businesses because we find a lot of the times, especially when I was starting my business, that starting a business can sometimes cause a little bit of extra stress and tension on relationships. And I found that out personally, of course, when we were starting our business. So that's kind of how I got into that specialty as far as starting coaching couples who, maybe it's one couple or not one couple, but maybe it's one person or both of them are actually in the business. But whatever the case is,
right.
Usually starting a business or maintaining a business usually has a lot of stresses and things like that. Everybody knows about that. So, in fact, my wife just logged on. So how you doing, sweetheart? So that's how I got into the relationship coaching part.
Okay.
And then the second part that I do is I help business owners generate anywhere from $10,000 to $50,000, $100,000 in additional annual revenue without spending a dollar on marketing or advertising. So, yeah.
Wow.
That's impressive.
I'm sure there are couples out there right now who are probably saying,
their ears are perked up.
We gotta know this Mike. Like, tell us more, Mike. Go on.
Sure. So the relationship part is so for the relationship coaching part, you can reach us out at friendsandmarriage.com, and our email address is info@friendsandmarriage.com, and we're still in the early stages of putting together an online video course for that, which is coming up soon. And then as far as the business strategy part, helping business owners find additional revenue without spending any more money, I actually have partnered with a company, and they've helped me build a business and do all this other stuff. So really, it's several things. We have a online, it's called the e-learning course, where it teaches you every week how to implement a different strategy in your business. And a lot of them are things that business owners just don't think to do, or they don't know how to do. And so we have that, and then we have like weekly webinars and things like that they can attend. And then, of course, there's the one-on-one coaching business that we have as well. So really, it's just helping people find what's working and what's not working in their business, and then implementing strategies. Really, it's what it is.
Nice. Let me ask, why friends and
friends? Well, it's two-part. One, our name, which I don't know where that came from. Europe somewhere, I guess. I don't know. And then the second part is all marriages, you have to start out as friends. I mean, you're friends, really, is what you are. And you're best friends. You should be best friends. And that's just my personal opinion. But, so it's more than just two people coming together. It's a friendship, but it's a friendship that lasts for a lifetime. So that kind of stuck out. I was working with an online business coach at the time, and we were just throwing around some ideas, and I threw that out, and he's like, "Man, that's perfect. Quickly, snag that URL. Get that domain name." So I was like, "Done. Okay, we got it." So, yeah, it was funny.
That's awesome.
So your passion for marriage, where did this all start?
So my wife and I, we both came from divorced families, and we obviously went through and experienced how painful and how traumatic that can be, especially for young kids, and especially seeing your parents go through that.
Right.
And then I entered into the military, and
Mm-hmm.
after that, I went to like a first responder profession. And for whatever reason, those professions, including like medical professions and things like that, they have a very high divorce rate. And that's just statistics. I mean, they're higher than I think most other professions in the country. So when I started getting into relationship coaching, that's kind of how I started to get into it. I was like, taking my experiences and my own drawing from my own past and everything like that, I was like, that's something I think I was really passionate about, because a lot of times when people separate or they get a divorce or whatever, along the lines, there was a point where things slowly started to break down. It just didn't happen. But I think
Right.
That's right.
people, either they just don't know what to do, they don't know who to turn to, or they just throw in the towel too quickly. And a lot of the relationships that we've been able to help, they just needed some guidance, really is what they needed. And they were able to turn things around. And, some of them were just close to just calling it quits as well, but just a little bit of guidance, a little bit of direction in the right place, and they can turn it around. You can't save every marriage, of course, but a lot of them, I believe
Right.
that we can.
So, do you think that today, like, people are more willing to throw away the marriage relationship, or are they more willing to get advice or help? Do you see one extreme more
Mm,
than the other, or
I haven't really seen an extreme as far as one end or the other. As far as people, I haven't really seen a
right?
trend of. I mean, this is me personally, but I haven't seen an uptick in people just wanting to call it quits, or more people wanting to make it work. What we have seen though is people are waiting longer to get married. And there was a recent article done. It was research that millennials are actually waiting longer to actually get married and have kids, because now they're so focused on establishing their career, their professions, and things like that first. And I don't know what technically you want to call a millennial is. I mean, I guess by definition, I am one, even though I didn't think I was, right? But I read an article one time that said something about if you were born after like 1980 or something like that, you're considered. I was like, I didn't think I was, but okay, I guess I am. I was born in '82, so. But that's interesting that I read that. I was like, I didn't think that was the trend, but research shows that they're actually waiting longer to do that. So, which is good, I guess. So.
Wow. Well, I guess to some degree it's better because once
Mm-hmm.
you're more mature, especially for men, I can speak
Sure.
for us as men, we we tend to mature. I guess
Sure.
later in our lives. Um, for me, I think that's true for me because I think I became very much more mature in my 30s. And this statistically, it is proven that men get, that's when they
Right.
reach the age of maturity. And unfortunately, um, I think it's okay for men, especially, to wait until they're that age because now they have a little bit more understanding of how to treat a woman, how to be
Sure.
a better father, better husband, and all the you would think anyway. In today's world, that at that age we would have a much better grasp on what it means to be a good husband or a good father based on it could be a number of factors, like could be if you have great examples in your own home, then that is a bonus. But in
Yes.
today's world,
Yeah.
that's kind of a rarity,
It
right?
is becoming, yeah. It's really hard when you have nothing to look
Right.
up to, or
Right.
you don't have the example to follow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is again
So
just
that's
opinion, but I think a lot of it has to do with there's just so much out there that's pulling you in different directions, telling you to be all these different things, and you want to be this, but you want to be that, but then your friends might think this, which is the biggest influencer of most people's lives is your inner circle, your social network. So I think that's kind of the issue, is that people are just
Wow.
pulled in so many
right.
different directions. Celebrities, and not there's anything wrong with them, but everybody's different. But we're just trying to be yanked in all different
Wow.
directions. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. That it's we think it should be something that's, I don't want to say common knowledge, but something that we should aspire to be and do, but then the influences kind of, yeah. So I agree with that.
So there's a lot of issues, as we know, in marriage today, and one of them is in the area of finances. And statistically, it's proven that that's one of the number one reasons for divorce and whatnot. As a business and life strategist, can you talk to couples out there who are struggling in their finances, and just what do you say in your coaching to couples in financial
Sure.
stress?
Yeah, that are struggling or looking for that breakthrough.
Well, I think pretty much everything, doesn't matter if it's finances or trust or anything like that. Everything, if you break it down to its fundamental level, I believe that everything comes down to communication. And in one of my programs, and my coaching program, my first coaching program certification came from Tony Robbins' program, and through one of his courses, they talked about how couples that don't communicate often assume. So like if you're not if you're not talking about finances, well, you can assume that maybe your spouse or your partner knows how to manage money, or they know how to balance a checkbook, or they know what to spend, maybe splurge a little bit more on this time instead of last time, or whatever the case might be. But when you don't ask the questions and you don't actually get like a direct question and get a direct answer, well, then you're just left to assume, or you're just left to guess. And that's where a lot of the problems start, especially for like finances, as we talked about, because you may have one person that likes to gamble a lot and is just racking up tens and tens of thousands of dollars, $100,000 in debt, and while the other one is ultra conservative, ultra frugal. Like, and not that I like to spend a ton of money, but my wife she knows every penny that goes in and out of her account. Bless her soul, because she's the money person. So for everything business and finance, I mean, I'm glad, because I don't want to deal with that. Just tell me what I need and tell me what I can get, and we'll just go from there. That's our arrangement, and that works for us. But that might not work for everybody, So the biggest thing is we say you have to have that conversation. If you've gotten any issues in your area of finances of your relationship, what specifically are you having a breakdown, or what specifically is that part of finance that you're having a problem with? Is it because somebody's racking up credit card debt, or is it because somebody likes to go to the mall all the time and spend money? And then the other part of that is to not just like have that conversation like you're launching an offensive. Like, you're not attacking your partner, saying you go to the mall all the time, you spend all this money. That's not going to work.
Right.
So you have to use specific words, and it's not like you're not using a psychological trick or anything, but really, because all relationships they're a team, right? So it's more along the words of like me or us and things like that. And when you're starting to use words like I or you, like you always do this, you always do that, then that's more of like you're attacking a person, and maybe you don't mean to do it intentionally, or intentionally to hurt their feelings, or intentionally put them on defense. But most conflicts, there's usually, most of the time, both people have some play into the conflict. And I know a lot of people are probably saying, whoa, hold on, they're the ones spending the money, not me. But if you take a look at it, if you take a few steps back and go, okay, you're having a conflict about money because you didn't talk about it. So you didn't address it with your partner. Or even if you did, then maybe they have a spending habit that you need to address. Maybe there were signs, maybe there were clues that you missed, and not that you missed on purpose, but maybe there was just some things that you could work out together and have a conversation over. It may not just money may just be like the surface issue. There may be a deeper issue than that. Right. It may just be a symptom of a deeper problem, and that's where you have to have a conversation. And maybe money is just the symptom problem. And then when you start talking about what is the issue about money, why do you spend money all the time, or why do you do this, or why do you get a car racking up debt, maybe your partner grew up extremely poor, got money. Maybe they just want to spend a few extra dollars here and there on nice shoes or nice clothes or something like that. So that would be the next layer of the problem. It's not just that they're spending money, it's just that their painful past, or maybe they grew up in poverty or something like that. That's just one example. So, but that's the biggest thing we tell couples is you really got to have a conversation, and it has to be a neutral conversation, not where you're attacking each other, and generally in a place to where, not in a place of intimate settings of like your bedroom or anything like that. That's key. You want to keep those places like sacred.
That's right. Wow, those are awesome advice. And actually, you touched upon every single point you made. We've actually addressed those very things in our book. So that was interesting.
Yeah.
Like, it was awesome. Especially.
Uh-huh. Oh no.
Go ahead. It sounded like it was.
Those are very good points and things to help resolve some conflicts.
It cut out for us.
Okay. Anyway, no, go ahead.
You were saying something. Go ahead.
Yes. Well, the last point that you just made, I was going to say, yes, your spouse is not your enemy. So that's when we come from that perspective where you're not attacking, you're not automatically assuming that, you know, even actually Tony Robbins talks about this, like you mentioned, not assuming. You never question the person's character, right? So you always give them the grace. You may question their behavior, but you don't question their character. So if you just kind of make that mental shift, that alone can really completely change the atmosphere when you're in conversation with your spouse. And as you know, I know that you're a Christian as well, and we're, you know, our everything, all of our sorry, it's making a lot of noise right now.
That's okay. Yeah, I can hear you.
Hear
it keeps disconnecting but reconnecting, so I can hear you.
You can hear me? Okay. It was just making a lot of static for a moment there. So I was just saying a lot of our philosophy or our ideology is all biblically based.
Right.
So where was I getting at with
you were talking about Tony Robbins and not questioning a person's character, but rather their behavior. And you were talking about the scriptures and how we approach relationship in the scriptural base.
Yes. And the other thing that I wanted to mention is just like in Genesis, it talks about becoming one flesh.
Right.
That's another principle that, like what you've mentioned, you're together, you're a team.
Right.
You don't see each other as, you know, in conversation, you try to avoid the words I, me, you, and replace them with us, we, our. So that's something that we really strongly advocate for, because we see the results of that, and
we intentionally you know, if you want to avoid a conversation, an argument, man, you know, what's an example that we could say? Like, I think we need to be a little bit more tidier in our home. We.
Yeah.
And by we, I mean
we.
We need to address our budget, or you know, as opposed to you need to you know, cut out your spending, or like it's all about the attitude. And when you're coming around as, when you're addressing it as a team, as one flesh, you start to think differently, I think. And now you're looking after your home together, you're in it together, you're either both winning or you're both losing. So we just find that makes a big difference.
Absolutely.
In the outcome, is just the way that
your approach. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. In this context, or it's very applicable to so many different to just a variety of our ways or situations. it's not what you say, it's how you say. This is not just in the marriage. This could also be in the business world.
Yeah.
It's a principle.
Absolutely.
Yes. And LaFern is saying, always try to address each other's needs versus focusing on their behavior. That's another really interesting point. Absolutely. Because another thing that we like to really stress on is the principles, we call it, of I am second. So we live by that, and that's kind of very counterintuitive. You put the other person above
yourself.
When you think in those terms, you're not automatically wanting to,
selfishly do things.
Think about my needs, and you need to change first.
Right.
You're the problem.
Exactly.
Right. So
yeah.
So do you find that couples struggling with finances, do you, in your practice and what you do, is this a big deal, or is this like a non-issue?
Like a predominant kind of
exactly.
problem,
is this predominant in your
I think it's probably indirectly. I think a lot of the times that they may have like issues as far as like meeting a sales quota, or problems going on at work, or just things that are not the issue addressing finances. But when you start digging and you start looking a little bit further, you may find that they're not making the sales that they need to make, or they're not bringing in the revenue that they thought they would make, or things like that. So yeah, most of the time it does come down to finances as far as a big chunk of it. And that's, that's really something that as the relationship coaching part is that I can't really fix that part. That's where the business coach or the business consultant comes in and tries to fix that part. So until you alleviate the source problem, which would be the finances, then you're going to have problems in your relationship. Because I mean, like Tony Robbins even says, the quality of your life is the quality of your relationships. And I think that's very true, because I've seen more often than not, the people that have the problems in the relationships, there's usually a problem in their life as well. Like they're connected.
Wow.
And I found that very true to be that, because I mean, they're just, like I said, they're connected. So
they're
exactly.
inseparable. Yeah.
Right.
So we know you're a Christian. Tell us a little bit about how your faith sort of plays into your coaching approach. Tell us a little
bit. As far as coaching purposes, generally I don't, they're non-religious in nature, and it's not because there's any shame or I'm trying to persuade one person either way. But if somebody is not, then I don't want that to be an issue in the way of getting the results that they need. So they hire me to find money in their business, or they've hired me to find, a social media marketing strategy or something like that. Then I don't need in the back of their mind going, oh gosh, this guy's going to tell me about this scripture in this Bible about what I shouldn't be doing in my business, so, that's just that part of it. But if they are, and if they want to talk about it, then absolutely fine, and we can implement those principles. So, yeah.
I guess, I don't know what you meant by that. At least that's how I was interpreting his question. How does it affect maybe just your way of thinking, or maybe when you're like, are there any principles, like biblical principles, that you live by, or that you can transmit in what you're doing? Maybe not directly, maybe with scriptures, let's say, but does it play a part in just the like your?
I think the biggest thing is at least for me, and I know it. I mean, it may sound kind of just like a blanket statement, but I don't work with anybody, or I don't like directly impose those things. But if I find that there's anything that's violating any sort of integrity, or doing anything that's immoral or wrong, then I just won't work with that person. I would rather set my own character, my own morals and values and things like that, as opposed to making money. I mean, I can always find somebody else to help in that aspect. So that's where I draw the line. It's not, of course, not just about the money, but that's where I just draw the line of it's not, you got on this side these principles and values, but then on this side, then you got the business aspect of it, but there's that line right there. And so if there's any violations or anything like that tend to cross or approach that line, then I would rather just play it safe and just not even go down that road. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
So for you as a business strategist, do you find that having this the skill of the business strategist comes in handy alongside your coaching, like for relationship?
The business side of it, it kind of does, but not directly, I guess. I guess.
Are they separate? Are they separate in what you do? I'm just trying to understand. Are they
Sure.
one and the same, or are these like different business?
So they're different business concepts, and so like if I got a guy that I'm working with on the business side, and I start getting through his business, start trying to help him do whatever we need to do, and then we get to the point where I found that maybe he's got some issues in a relationship, which is the reason why his business is suffering. Well, then I'll offer it, but it's not like I'm trying to sell one with the other, like as a package, you know. So they're completely separate.
Right.
But if they happen to integrate, or if they happen to cross paths, then I'll mention the other part of it. So I'm not trying to, like, you know, sell a bunch of stuff unnecessarily. So.
By the way.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. In case you didn't know, right? No, completely separate. But yeah, at least I have those two skill sets in case I need to bring them together. So.
Yeah, that's really awesome. It's a real asset.
Yes.
And I think it comes in handy for the people that you're guiding, because like it's obvious where we could have issues in different areas, right? So, and very, very common areas that people need help.
Yeah, exactly. And as we were talking about, a lot of the times the businesses, you know, especially with couples, the stress from the business trickles into the relationship. So, I mean, that's perfect. Right.
So you were talking about some online courses that you have coming up. You want to tell us a little bit about that? So for those who are watching right now, and those who are watching the replay, if they're interested in finding out about these upcoming online courses.
I have the one that I'm finishing up right now. It's 21 days to more intimacy, and basically obviously it's 21 days, but that's why I call 21 days. But it basically takes them through a process of connecting with themselves, understanding where they're at in the relationship, finding out where they're breaking down, and applying what we call like the 6 human needs and strategies like that. And that comes from Tony Robbins' program. Understanding all the basic 6 human needs that every person in the world has. And so when you understand those things, like you were talking about earlier, that when you start to focus on your partner's needs first instead of your own, that's when you start making the change and the transformation in the relationship. So it's not, you know, I've had some people ask me, it's like, oh, is it 21 days about like more intimacy? Is that like more like sex and love and all this? I was like, no. That's like, that's just like the part of it. It's like connecting with your partner, like overcoming those barriers. Right. Like intimacy is just, it's everything in the relationship. So, you know, being comfortable in a relationship as far as just being yourself and how to express yourself, and, you know, any areas that you may find that you might be struggling in, or any areas that you might have questions in, and things like that. So it really starts to dig into those areas, and not just get you thinking about yourself, but getting you think about your relationship as a whole. And then hopefully over the course of 21 days, and you start to make that shift and that transformation. We give you like a daily little guide to work with as well. So, and
why 21?
21 because it's the 21 seems to be like, this comes from some research, and 21 days seems to be like the very minimum that you need to at least start making some sort of transformation, life transformation.
Habit. To form a habit.
For breaking a bad habit, or
starting a new one.
To starting new habits and replacing the new habits with old habits. And that's where you start the process of making those changes. Because if we were to say, you know, I got a 90-day online course for you, people start thinking, okay, 90 days, that's a long time. That's a lot of homework. I don't want to do this. You know, I mean, if you think about it, it's like if people think about, you know, if they think they got like a 6-month coaching program or something like that, most of them are very good, but they're thinking, it's like, man, this is a long time. It's like, that's a lot of commitment. And so that's really where the negativity starts to come in. So if we found that if we break it into smaller chunks, then people are more able to pay attention, more stick with the program, and then apply those strategies and start seeing some progress. So, yeah.
Wow. Awesome. Any idea when this program or these programs will be rolling out?
I'm shooting for, so what is this? Beginning of October. So I'm shooting for probably the middle of November. Around the middle of November, right before the holidays.
Awesome.
For some reason.
So that's your
yes.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, the last Thursday in November is our Thanksgiving.
Okay, because our Thanksgiving is
next weekend.
Is
Happy
coming
Thanksgiving.
up, actually.
Fern is saying here, I feel like business and relationships work hand in hand. If we treat our relationships like a business, they would be more successful.
Woo!
The goal is to succeed in doing whatever possible to see that through solid communication, respectful dealings, transparency, genuine care, etc. We are a team and need to figure out and work towards success. Great chat, friends. Thank you.
Thanks for that.
Thanks, Thanks for sharing.
I know.
Totally agree.
Very insightful.
In fact, you know Esther Perel? Do you know who she is? So she's she actually says something very similar to what he just said, that we often treat people in our employment, our jobs, better than we treat our own partners and spouses.
Better.
And that's actually, when I heard that, I was like,
wow.
That's very powerful and sometimes very true. You know, because if you think about it, would you really talk to your boss or your supervisor sometimes in a certain way that you would talk to your spouse? And probably not. So when I heard that,
they're cutting you a check.
Right? Yeah.
Is it? I think. Why is it that the bottom line that always has to come? Why does that come in play? Because like that's I
think it really
troubling.
exposes a lot about the human heart.
The heart.
The heart condition.
It's a heart condition.
Because I think we just get so comfortable with our partners and our spouses and whoever we're with, is that
absolutely
right.
We cross
right,
the
exactly.
line of
And then and then, you know, when you're at work with your coworkers or your supervisor or boss or whatever, you're a little bit more well behaved just because you're the environment that you're in.
Right.
Not only because you got other people around, but, you know, like you said, you know, they're cutting your check and you don't want to lose that, right? So it's odd, or a mystery, I guess, or however you want to phrase it, that people are willing to gamble more with that than in their relationship or their business.
And to take it a bit further, like they're willing to work out issues that come up in the workplace. They try to find solutions. They try to play this whole team building, team game mentality. You know, like, why do we do this? I'll never know.
I think if we put the same amount of effort into our marriages, I think we would start seeing some amazing results.
Absolutely.
You're right. I think
and that's what it is. We get comfortable, we get complacent, and that's really like the two killers, you know.
Yeah, completely.
And especially that's even more troubling for the couples that have issues in their relationships that are on rocky terms or not doing well. Because one of the strategies that we learned was, if you don't feel significant, if you don't feel important at home, then you find that need, you find a way to fulfill that need for significance somewhere else. And a lot of the times, especially for men, it's at work. They feel significant at work because they can complete that next task. They can accomplish that goal. They're getting significance from their employers or their boss. They're getting recognition. Whereas maybe if they're at home, they just don't feel significant to their partner. Right.
Validation,
yeah, exactly.
Vacuum, and something's going to fill it.
So that's real troubling areas for relationships that are not doing very well, unfortunately.
Wow. Well, Mike, this was very insightful.
It was fun.
Absolutely, it was.
We would like to thank you so much.
Yes.
Coming on here, we told you no pressure. We told you it would have been. We told you we would have kept it like really cool.
Yeah,
and
this is great.
Nice and no hard questions. pretty straightforward, you know, and we're so grateful for you for what you're doing over there in Texas. Give our audience one more time the website that they can go to find out more about what you're doing, what you're up to in Texas, and how they can get a hold of your courses that are coming up.
Okay. We're going to post it as well. We're going to the video
So the relationship part would be friendsinmarriage.com. And then the business side of it is it's MSM, like Mike, Sam, Mike, businessstrategies.com. Okay. And I can send it to you if you want later. So, but those are the two information for that.
Yeah, that would be great.
But yeah, no problem. Yeah, and seriously, thank you guys for having me on. It was fun. It was a blast. I love talking about this stuff. So, yeah, it was good. I appreciate it. Yeah.
We had a good time.
Absolutely. we love talking to individuals like yourself who are in a similar line of work that we're in, and you know, people who are fighting for relationships, for marriages, because it's a rare thing to find people who are passionate about marriage, who are passionate about fighting for their marriages. So thank you, Mike. We appreciate you.
Thank you for sticking it out, even though we
that's okay. No, next time.
But you know what?
We know better next time.
Woo! Yes,
awesome.
No, that's awesome.
Thanks again. Appreciate it.
Thank you. It was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to.
Sometime.
Absolutely. We'll talk.
I will.
Say hi to your wife.
Bye-bye.
God
bless you.
God bless you.
Bye.
Take care, everybody.